Hello everyone. In today's video, we are continuing our lesson. Now, in our last video, we talked about lists, and then we got to know about other lists that's other than other lists in our previous video. Now, in today's video, we are going to delve a little bit more deeper in lists in whereby it's more of nested list in there. So when you look at this list, if you can see, is more into details like than the previous list that we did it. So when you take this list items, you can see that we have 1, 2, 3 as a first list, which contains the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And this one is other lists. Now, when you take the first list, the first item, which is the HTML, we have a list of items of 3, which is 1, 2, 3, heading, paragraph, and list, and that the first items in the first list. So this one is the second list. So if you can see, it's these lists has the same level of the second list items in the second list under the second item in the first list. That's the CSS. So if you can see the selector, the colors and the layout, the variables, the functions, and the events. So this one is the second list in there. So this one look more deeper than our previous list that we did. And then if you check the the third items in the second list, which is the events, you also having a list item in there, whereas the hope and the faith. So this one is on other list items. So let's see how we can able to achieve this list format in case you have this one. And it's very important to understand list because list will be used in various ways. So let's open our editor and let's see this list. So in our editor, we we have the editor and we are going to do in the structure that we saw. So in our editor, we can see that our first list items, our first list, we're having 3 items, which is the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We are going to open on other lists in there, and then we will list our 3 items in there. So let's go straight to our editor. Let's see in there. So in our editor, in all right. So we in our body tag, we come here and open an other list in there, and then we have our 3 lists. The first one is the HTML, and then our second list item, which is the CSS in there. So that's our CSS list item in the second list. So item, and then the last list, which is JavaScript in over there. So this is how the list is. So you can preview in your live preview, and then you have a look at it. So in that, I open it in my browser to have a look at how these list items look like. It's so this are first list items in the HTML and CSS. And now when you look at it, you realize that the HTML is having a list of 3 items. So this is the second list, but this one fall within the HTML list item. So how do we go about this one? Now in our editor again, we we go straight, and then in our list items in there in the HTML. So the opening and the closing of the list item where the HTML is being there. In the open, you open your new list item. So you take the you certain that one is other list. So you take your OL, and it has 3 list items in there. So these 3 list items in there, which is paragraph and then heading in there. So these are 3 list items. So when you have a look at it, we have in our paragraph, heading, paragraphs, and list in over there. So let's put in the code and let's have a look at how it will come. So we have our paragraphs, and then our headings, then let's see headings and then lists. Here's a demonstration. So we have our items in there nicely, so we can preview. So have a look at this one, how it comes. So you have a live preview. You can preview it and then you have a look at it, how it look like. So when we have our list item. So in that same procedure that we use for the first list item in the first list, we use it in the second list item. So that's what it's in there with the CSS in there. So we have the selector and the color. So we go back to our editor and then we check in there. So our previous list item, which is a CSS. So the opening, the closing of the list item where we have the CSS, you enter, then open your other list in there and put your three list item there. So what I'm doing the indentation. So by default, VS Code within the indentation for so indentation is very key. It allows you to read your code nice. So if you can see this one have the closing, this have a closing over there. So that help in the indentation. So if something is wrong, you can easily see what the problem in and then it can easily be rectified. So we have our next list item in there. So you do that in for the CSS. And then this one will be the colors. And the last one will be for the layout. All right, so in the same manner, the JavaScript have that. So you come here, open in that same procedure, other list in there, and then you put in your two list item. There was three list item in there. So this one is having variables and then function in there. So functions, and the last part is the event. All right. So when we save your work, shortcut Control S, or you can go to File and then click on Save to save your work. I'm using Windows, so Windows is the shortcut is Control S in over there. So when we view in the output in your live preview, you will see how the outcome is in over there. So if then so you can see as it is nicely perfect in there. But when you check in the second list under the item 3 at the JavaScript in there, the event is having an order list in there. So how do we achieve this one? So in the same procedure that we are having in our code where we have the event in there, the event. So the closing of the event, you come here and open your URL and then put in your list item, so which is the li. So the li bring in contain the data of the list item. So we have hope and then we have the faith in there. So when you save it and check the outcome, the live preview, you will see nicely you've able to achieve what you want. So there is the output of it, which is nicely listed in there. So we already have a goal in there. So the goal that we have, we will just check in with that goal, and then you make sure with the same procedure you achieve what we have done so far. So we have a goal in the nested list, which I've already shared with you there. So in that one, you check in the goal, and then you do something similar in there. So this one is a little bit complex in there. So use the same process. So you take this one for instance, if you take this goal for instance, in there, if you check, we have This one is on order lists. So on order lists, we the first list item we have A, B, and C. So you open on order list with three list items in there. So that's the first procedure. And now the second list item, which is ordered list, the closing of the list item which contain the B, you come with three lists, ordered one, one, two, three, which contain B1, B2 in here, and you achieve that one. Now, when you're able to achieve that one, the next, the third list, which is also a bulletin, if you check in very well here, and this one is ordered. So we go straight to the second list with the second item with the B2 in the closing of the list. You come and then put in your item in here, which is a B2A, B2B, and B2, which is a three on order list, which is a UL with three list items in the nicely. Then when you list it, the items in the third list, you open another the closing on other list and you put this item there. So we are done with this one. And the last part, which is the second list with the third item with a B2, you come here and open other list in there. And this one is perfectly actually. So you can do this one, then the solution is there to also rectify. So let me know in the comment section if I'm able to do it. You like the video, you share with other people to able to achieve that. So that's how list is attempt. So we'll use when to list. So in our next video, we'll then take in and see other important elements in the list in the HTML element tab. All right. So thank you, and then all the best. Bye.